Hey guys, welcome to Overcrest. I'm Kris.
And I'm Jake.
And it's good to be back. Jake, thanks for covering a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I appreciate it.
It was not the same without you. That is for sure. I've missed this a lot.
The whole world is not the same without me, Jake. Let's just be honest. No,
maybe?
You don't feel the same way?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, that's all right.
I don't have a witty comeback for that. I don't know. The world does not revolve around you. Despite what you may think, I guess.
So this is the kind of a recap of the last couple of weeks. You know, I went and got that W124, and I'm kind of like torn on where to start because the last couple of weeks have been honestly really hard. Yeah, they've been really, really hard. So
yeah, I mentioned on here just that, you know, you had a loss in your family and just left it at that. And I don't know if that's something you even want to get into.
Yeah, I don't think I cannot. I don't think I cannot because, you know, I don't want to just roll into this episode and just be like, oh, I got this car. The trip was great.
Right.
And,
that's why I kind of wanted to address it. You know,
the trip was really great, but also really not great in a couple of ways.
Yeah.
It was really, you know, I took a shower before I almost always take a shower before I come on the podcast. Because, by the way, your background looks really nice, by the way.
Thank you. Is this an improvement? Really You're going to stop razzing on me?
Yes, such an improvement. I always take a shower before the podcast because I like to think. Okay. And it helps me. And usually I have like all this show prep that I do, and I do like a list. I have nothing. If you were to see my screen right now, it is just you.
I saw. Usually we have a show document, and it was just like there's one line, and I was like, okay,
and it's just completely empty because I didn't really know. I was gonna sit down and kind of go through like, oh, this is what we did with the trip and all the highlights and the lowlights and everything like that. I'm trying to think if let's just go through the trip and we'll talk about, you know, Grandpa as we go, which I think is the way to do it. And I apologize, I'm still a little bit sick, so I sound a little kazooie. Okay. I guess would it be a kazooie? Kazooie. I was, you know, this all kind of starts with going to the post office that day, you know, and meeting that guy in the white car, the white W124.
Rewind. Okay.
You know, I went and looked at that white.
Yeah. And you went there and you were like, it's not. Sorry, man, it's not.
It ain't
not that great.
And I'm not going to rehash the story. Fun episode,
right?
You should go listen to it. But that's kind of where it all started because I posted on social. Hey, I was looking at this car. It was a cool story. Blah blah. And then one of our listeners sent me a picture sent me a story from one of our friends, Ben Lau.
Yep.
That he had one of these for sale.
Okay.
And of course, I sent him a message. Now, go ahead.
It's worth, you know, acknowledging that this is literally across the country from where we live.
Oh yeah, this is in Orange County. So this is not like no, right
it's not as convenient, right?
Not as convenient. So I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, tell me about this car. Turns out it's had a ton of maintenance done. It's you saw it. You know, you saw it the other day.
It is extremely clean.
It is really clean. Like if you saw this car here, you would lose your mind. You'd leave a note on the door handle, on the windshield wiper, on the trunk hatch. You'd leave notes.
I personally wouldn't, but I would just be like, "What?
No. You would call somebody when you see a car. Right? You would call. Anytime you see a car, there's always a guy that you know that likes the type of car that you're seeing. Yeah. Right. There's always a guy, even if you don't like the car, there's always a car out there. If you saw an old, for example, well, you probably still call me for this one too. If you saw an old Maserati bi-turbo on the side of the road, for sale, and it was really clean,
was totally you. Yeah.
You would call me. I mean, you'd probably call me first anyway, but I'm just saying there's always like the guy that's the guy with the car. So anyway, someone sent this to me because apparently I'm the guy with this thing. And you would call me if you saw this thing.
I certainly would.
And you would be very excited. Kris, I saw this car. It's very clean. It's that clean. It's worth an excited phone call at any hour, I would say.
Sure. Yes. For you, yes.
So I sent a message to Ben. I said, hey, man, what's the deal with the car?
Are you leaving specifics out of this? Like, we haven't even mentioned this is the model of the vehicle.
I've said 124, W124 a couple of times. It's a 124 300E.
Yeah.
Yep. And Mr. Producer is going to throw some photos up.
90?
1990. That's right.
Okay.
I don't have any of the photos ready. Mr. Producer's on vacation. He'll throw them up, and everybody else is seeing photos right now. You're not.
Perfect.
Too bad for you.
Got it.
So I sent him a message like, hey, he sends me back the story. He said a ton of work done on this car.
Right.
Just a ton. And he's a little bit underwater on the car. And I said, dude, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You're kind of underwater on the car. You know,
right.
Like
what you have into it is not what it's worth.
Even none of that really matters for the purposes
even
of
in the state
of the story.
Right.
Yep. And I go, it's going to cost me $1,500 to $2,000 to get it home.
Yep.
Here's my MO. I'm going to drive this car for probably a year. I don't lie to myself anymore. I don't lie to myself and say this is some sort of forever car.
Okay, that's good. Because
I lie to myself a little bit. I lie to myself.
People are like, are you, what's the plan? You gonna like fix it up and flip it? And I never buy a car planning on selling it, which I think is the difference. And maybe you don't plan on selling it yourself.
No, it's not. The purpose
you just
is
know
not
yourself.
to flip. The purpose is not to flip the car, which I don't think there's that much meat on the bone to flip the car anyway. But the purpose of the car is not to flip the car. The purpose of the car is to drive this car for a while and enjoy it. That's it.
Right. Until you get
bored. I was very honest. I said, hey, I'm probably only going to keep it 1 year, 2 years at the most. That would be like some sort of absurd circumstance if I were to keep it that long. Here's how much. And I gave him I don't think he'll take this offer. And the offer of, I need to go get this car. So this is the offer I'm giving that would make, you almost just don't expect it. So you're not even planning to go. And then he says yes. And then within a half an hour, you've already wired the money.
Yeah. Like when you deal with contractors, there's the, I don't want to do this job price.
Yes.
Right. That's what you gave them, but on the other end of it.
Exactly.
Okay, so
I booked a flight. I booked a flight. I went out there, hopped in an Uber, and went and picked up the car. And it was
first impression
really clean. What's interesting is on the way there's always like your Uber driver or Lyft driver, whatever it is, always has got some sort of story.
Oh my God. Okay.
This?
Here, let me just tell it from my perspective, because I know you're out there, you're off a flight or something. And this is the text message like chain that I get from Kris is, oh no, this is later in the story, actually, I believe.
Okay. All right. Well, you're mixed up. Okay. So I get in this
another
Uber.
driver that you unfortunately had to hire. How about that?
Oh yeah. You're getting way ahead of yourself. But I did send you a message, and the message probably said, I am now an expert in hot saunas and cold plunges.
I don't remember that.
Maybe I didn't send it to you, but I was an expert in hot saunas and cold plunges. I got sold the whole deal. This guy was an athletic trainer who trains NFL players, but also drives for Uber. So I'm just thinking to myself,
so he's not that lucrative.
Either you have a really crazy work ethic, or you're not very good at what you do, or that job just doesn't pay very well.
Right.
Why would you be driving around Uber? Granted, he did have like a Polestar, like a new Volvo Polestar.
Okay.
I kind of asked him, I'm like, why are you doing this? He's like, I just like talking to people, man. And I've heard that from a couple Uber drivers, and there's no shot that anybody drives for Uber because they like to talk or mingle with people.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Do you think, this is interesting, do you think you could use the vehicle as a tax write-off if you drive for Uber?
Yeah, but I think you probably have to drive a certain amount of time.
Okay. I have no idea how that works. Like maybe that's the thing.
I know the insurance is a hell of a lot more expensive. It's now got is this a rideshare vehicle when you check the box for your insurance and sign up? Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Anyway, also, this guy's dad was an agent, like a sports agent.
Okay.
And he and all of the cars that his dad owned when he was an agent in the late 80s were
Volvos?
Jacob.
He's driving a Polestar. What do you want from me?
Hold on a second. I just want to get my little connection here. My connection was getting a little wiggly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming
old Mercedes.
Yes, of course.
Tell me about like S-classes and SECs and all these cool cars. And I said, oh man, well, I'm going to get one right now. And you know that meme where the guy does this? And there's like there's another pair of sunglasses underneath his sunglasses?
Yeah, that's the old MacGyver. The MacGyver meme.
That's what this guy did when he saw the car in the driveway when we pulled up.
Oh, because he knew this is
It
the car
is-
you're going to get.
It is that clean. So I get out of the car, I go and, walk around, talk to Ben, who's just an awesome guy. Ben Lau, just a super cherry dude. And he makes some of the merch that we have for sale in the Overcrest store, which, hey, shout out Overcrest store. It's there.
Go out there. Go get it.
Pick up the car. And the first thing I do is call up my boys at Likebow and Stanceworks. And to be fair, I've already coordinated this a little bit ahead of time because H&R is one of our partners.
Yep.
I've already got suspension waiting. It's already waiting.
Yeah.
And so I take the car over there and we hang out for a little bit and decide the next morning we are going to throw it up on the hoist and we're going to swap out the springs and swap out the struts.
Sure. Okay.
I've got a little bit of indigestion
you got
here.
some situation there.
I got some situation going here. I
had some like hot sauce or something beforehand. What is that?
I had a hot dog, which probably with onions, which probably wasn't the best choice.
Milk was a bad choice.
Plus, I don't feel very good. So we put the car on the hoist, and the next morning changed everything over. Super easy, went really straightforward.
Those cars are not McPherson. They have the separate spring and the separate.
It's like an inboard spring. So the spring is separate from the strut.
Yes, got it.
What you see, you look really confused.
No, I'm just. Is it? So it's not technically a coil over. Is this an adjustable height situation, or is this just a lowering spring that you put in?
It's a lowering spring.
Okay.
You can do all this other stuff, but I'm not interested in being slammed with this car. I wanted it to drive OEM Plus and feel really good. So this is a sport spring. We bought Bilstein Yellows, the HDs.
Yep.
Put those in there. And we had the car up on the hoist, and every single suspension bushing and part is new. Everything.
Wow.
Every control arm, every bushing, every tie rod, every ball joint, every drag, everything is new.
Which makes what's happening later in the story confusing.
Yeah, so we put the car on the ground, drive it around a little bit. Drives great. I'm all set. Likebow guys are awesome. Okay.
Yeah, they built the scholarship car for us.
They did. Those guys are great. So I hop in the car. What day is it? I don't even know what day. Does it matter?
No, it doesn't
really matter, does it?
No, this is day 2 of the adventure. How about that?
All right. I hop in the car in the morning, 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. I start driving. And I have to get out to Amboy because I want to shoot some content for Overcrest.
And
I want to go on this.
Now
it's on social.
Instagram.
I want to shoot this content. And I got to get out to this road, this twisty, curvy road, and I want to shoot that but I'm trying to be mindful of my time. So I have to get Amboy is 6 hours, I think, from where I was. But I also had to go to this other place with the curvy roads, which was kind of not on the way. So I'm trying to figure out if I can get to Amboy by sunset. Because I want to catch sunset with the neon sign.
Yes.
I want to catch that. I had a very specific plan. I wanted to get to sunset and film that sign with the neon light turning on with the sunset in the background.
I will interject right now. It is such an awesome spot that you found. And this is the Road to Air Water that we are doing in a month.
In a month. If you'd like to come, if you got a Porsche, any Porsche, come along.
Yep, Porsche. We'd love to have you. Yeah, it's up on the website right now. But such a cool space.
I had this vision of exactly what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And it didn't exactly go as planned, which I should have known. You see this car and everything's nice and everything's new and you just assume everything's going to go fine.
Yeah.
So I start driving and I'm on whatever freeway I'm on. It's probably the 5 or who knows what. There's so many freeways out there. And you know how the pavement is grooved sometimes for water runoff?
Yeah. Yep. And so it tracks a little bit.
It tracks a little weird and it's low and it's got a little extra camber.
Sure. So you're like, okay, I'm feeling
a little extra camber, a little extra caster, just so steering feels nice and dense. It felt decent the night before.
Okay.
And I go around this corner and the car kind of, it's difficult to explain how this feels. It almost felt like it had rear steer.
I was going to say it rear steered on you. Yep.
But it was like Kramer from that episode of Seinfeld where he's in the back of the fire truck and it's like somebody's there's like a message, like when I turn the wheel, there's like a message that shows up to that person for them to also turn the wheel. Like it's like
so
slightly delayed.
A delay. Yeah. Yep.
And then you come back the other way, and it's very strange, and then it starts oscillating. You know,
That's
it starts
not
like
good. Yeah,
almost
you got a frequency then.
Almost like trailer wag is the best way that I can explain
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense.
But it only did it when I was turning right. If I turn left, it would not do
fine.
it. But this time it was so slight, Jake. I mean, it was like I thought it was the grooves in the pavement. All right, I can deal with that. No big deal. I keep driving. I get maybe another 45 minutes into the drive. So I'm about maybe an hour and a half into the drive.
Yeah.
And I'm to the point now, I have to get home as well because I have work. I have a new job, which I could probably talk about at some point. I can't turn around and go back to Costa Mesa to have things checked out because I'm too far, because I'll never then stay on schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm having this battle in my brain of, do I keep going? Do I turn around? I kind of stop. I stop the car.
How many hours? How many hours are you out?
2 hours, approximately 2 hours. But I also left at like 5:30 in the morning, so I skipped all the traffic. It's probably 3 hours back in there.
True. Okay.
And it doesn't seem that bad yet.
No.
All right. So I'm driving, and I start to get into some of these twisty roads that I want to film, and I'm like, oh shit, because you go left on some of these. I think maybe it was left. You go left on some of these things, and then you would correct, and it would correct so hard that it was. I have a very high tolerance for sketchy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have a pretty high tolerance if things are going to be sketchy or they don't feel right, or I can drive through it. It was
except for heights, but
heights. Yes. I don't like heights. No, because I've seen too many fail videos of people's on ladders with their legs getting all tangled
I was just
up.
thinking, in general, my sketchiness threshold is probably higher in general than yours. Would you not agree?
For home improvement, yes. Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what your car sketchiness. Probably pretty good too. Maybe on par there, and you've got more OSHA infractions than I do.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it's pulling me from one lane to the other.
Yeah, not good.
And it's super, like you're having to manage, like whoa, and you're really having to manage this. And I'm like, God dang it, what is this? And I'm on this like twisty mountain road, which I have to film.
That's exhausting to drive. Yeah, and you can't focus.
I'm extremely stressed out. So I get out of the car. I'm at the spot I want to film. I'm like, all right, at least I made it this far.
Yeah.
So I pop the drone out, and I forget that it's a brand new drone.
Okay.
And
what does that mean for us?
DJI, and I just want to complain about this for a second.
That's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
You have to activate the drone before you can use it. And I forgot about that. So the drone was not activated. So I had to sit there and fuck around with this drone and half a bar of service trying to connect the controller with the drone with the phone so I could activate the thing.
Got it.
And at this point, gosh, it's got to be, I'm looking, sunset is 5:40. And I'm pulling the drone out with my arrival time being at 5. Okay? So I'm going, all right, I don't have time to fucking deal with this. It takes me 25 minutes to activate this drone.
Okay.
So now I'm going, this car is all over the fucking road. I filmed what I needed to film, and now my arrival time is 5:40. Exactly at sunset in Amboy.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, I just got to go. So I start driving down this mountain road, and it's over by the, it kind of lets out towards the Salton Sea, which is this super cool area. I get all the way to the Salton Sea, and I'm getting scared. Like it's getting to the point now where it starts just kind of randomly doing it. So
clearly it's loosening up.
Something's wrong. And I'm like, I can't figure this out. So I pull over, I shake everything around, I'm moving everything. I don't have any tools. None. Nothing. Which is, my MO is either you have tools and you bring them with you, or I buy the tools and then return them when I get home. And I will explain how that's more ethical than it seems in a minute.
Okay.
So I'm in the Salton Sea area, which is like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto, which is Mr. Producer, throw up a picture of Trevor from Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in that game at that
Why?
point, in that area where Trevor. It's just very, very interesting. I will say that there's a lot of trailer parks. There's a lot of like
I get it.
a lot of faded signs, a lot of
Yeah.
jalopies. Amazingly, there's not a lot of trash around, like on the ground. There's way more trash in LA than there is out here.
Yeah.
People still have a little pride in the area that they live, which is awesome. And it's a really cool area too. So I'm here at the intersection of Get Fucked Mountain Pass and Am I Going to Die Road.
Yeah.
And I'm at that stop sign going, all right. I can now at this point, I'm thinking I need to have the car towed back. I'm like, this car needs to be towed back, but I really, really, really need to get to Amboy for Overcrest. For you guys. Gotta get there.
Don't put this on us.
Oh, it is. It's on you guys. And I'm really struggling. And hindsight's always 2020. If I would have known how this all played out, I just would have had it towed back.
Okay.
I just would have had it towed back. But
okay.
I didn't know. Hold on. I gotta text Jesse to bring me some water.
You are dying. You know what? That's fine, because what you could have done is perhaps, and I don't know, maybe you did later in the story, got some parts from FCP Euro, our friends. FCP Euro is an online retailer of OE, OEM, and performance aftermarket parts. They have everything from BMW, Porsche, Volvo, all our European cars, and the catalog is a one-stop shop with over 275,000 unique products, including expert assembled kits to make shopping simpler and your actual projects kind of mindless. Actively building out their Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche catalogs. You can find everything you need there. Plus, every product they sell is backed by a lifetime replacement guarantee, even wear items like wiper blades, brake pads, oil filters, Mercedes ball joints, maybe.
Yes, you can get everything for this car.
That's
FCP.
my guess.
It's awesome. Do you ever find yourself going to? Maybe this is just me. I don't know. I go to FCP Hero and I have like a garage of like 10 cars on there now because you can. Keeps all your cars in the garage.
Yeah.
You ever like click on your car and then sort by price and then just start looking at the parts you could buy?
No.
You ever do that and just start like going to the brakes and the
You're
suspension?
just window shopping and
shopping for your project.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun because they have so much shit on there that you can do that. So I was doing that for the 124 for sure. I was like, oh, look at that. Oh, I could scroll through and get one of these. Oh, look at that. And then I add everything to my cart.
And you're like,
and then later on I'll go, I won't need all of it. But there's usually a couple things in there I end up purchasing. So my cart's always full of shit.
Guess what else? You're getting it in 3 days or less after you hit that checkout button, no matter where in the country you are. With their opening of the Mesa, Arizona distribution facility, they are shipping from both coasts, free shipping in 3 days or less. Check them out today, fcpeuro.com, and take advantage of that free shipping on any order over $49.
All right. Jesse's not responding to my text message.
Womp womp.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Do you want to take a
no, I don't take
pause.
We're gonna call her live on air.
Well, what I was gonna do is I had a couple shenanigans going on this weekend as well.
Hold on.
Okay. What? No, it's hello.
Wow, she left me. All right, well, I guess that's that.
Too many cars in the driveway.
I'll just be parched. Okay, so I'm at the intersection between Get Fucked and Am I Dead?
Yep.
Trying to decide if I want to go back. I assume I have to have it towed.
Let me ask, because this is my first plan thought in this scenario. Hearing the story is okay, where's the closest alignment shop?
Yes.
Little independent,
so,
whatever.
100%.
Right?
I'm at the intersection of Get Fucked and Am I Dead? And there's a Napa right there.
Sweet.
So I pull into this Napa.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the problem is. So again, I'm turning the wheel all the way in one direction. I'm grabbing the tie rods. I'm pulling some. What's funny is we went through a lot of this stuff, when we were looking at the car. Nothing seemed like crazy loose.
Why were you at the front of the car?
So I asked, I was all over the car. I was on the back of the car. I was on the front of the car. I was all over the car. There was no side of the car that I was necessarily on.
Okay.
Checking everything. I'm on the front, I'm on the back. Well, on the back, you can't like turn the wheels or something. I was just reaching under and grabbing things and taking the wheel and doing this thing or whatever.
Okay.
Lady walks out of Napa, and I'm like, and I'm like, hey, is there anywhere I can go to get an alignment? And she tells me about like Joe Bob's alignment shop. He's a new guy. He's got an old Kwanzaa hut up the street. He works on tractors and trucks. And I go perfect. And I leave at my dad road, and I start driving north towards Joe Bob's. And with steely eyes and white knuckles, I drive right by Joe Bob's exit on my way to Amboy. I didn't stop.
What possessed you? Your only salvation, you just drove right by.
And there's nothing pretty much. Well, I guess there's one town. There's 29 Palms, but by the time you get there, everything's already closed.
Okay, so what's the rationale?
I think
here?
It was Saturday or Sunday. I think it was It was Saturday, so everything was closed. I don't know. I had this mission that I needed to get to Amboy by sunset. And when I got on the freeway, it was driving pretty good. And when I went past Joe Bob's exit, about 5 feet past Joe Bob's exit, the thing started doing the thing again.
Yeah.
So
undoubtedly. Okay.
Undoubtedly. I did.
You're just wasn't okay. Here's the thing. I'm assuming it wasn't the tires.
It was not the tires. I checked the tires. I checked tire pressures. That was like my first immediate thought.
If you needed tires, do you know what you could have gone with?
What do you mean?
You could have gone with Nokian tires, brand new tire that they literally just launched last week, Kris.
I could have.
This is the tire built for the Overcrest audience.
It did cross my mind to scope out some Nokian tires because they've been on like lots of my road trips and they're bulletproof and they've never left me.
Yeah, literally bulletproof. Literally
bulletproof.
Maybe.
Gosh,
maybe.
We got to ask Wes like if we can test this.
Yeah,
I keep meaning to.
Their new tire, the Surpass AS01, is a high-performance, all-season tire for drivers who want to get the most out of their powerful vehicles, or maybe not so powerful in the case of my old 911. But hey, grip is what you actually need. Momentum cars. Either you have power or momentum. Either way, you need grip. So the Surpass expands your expectations with a high-performance tire.
It would absolutely surpass the expectations I have of the tires that are on the car now, which I don't know what they are, but I think the tread wear is 9,000.
Yeah, they're just rock hard.
These things will last a million. It's the 1,000,000-mile tire. You know, they just do nothing well.
Good. Yes,
it's basically a hockey puck.
Yeah, no. With these, you have performance and speed and safety. Comes with a 55,000-mile warranty and pothole protection, but it's also designed to hug hairpin turns and dig into the road for ultimate performance. Nokian Tires is giving away 30 sets in 30 days. Follow them on social media at Nokian Tires NA to learn more. Get to know the tire as well at nokiantires.com/surpass.
So I gotta get it. I gotta get to Amboy. I just gotta do it. I got to do it. And it's weird because I'm like, this is great. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it to, I love my family. What am I doing? It was so sketchy. And it was so sketchy. And so I finally get through 29 Palms and I make it to Amboy at like 5:37. And I pull up and the sun is just going down and a train goes in front of me. It's like ding 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 ding.
So
ding,
it's
ding,
between
ding, ding,
you and Amboy, and there's the train. Me and Amboy.
I can see it. I can see the town.
You're like, well, I'm already risking my life, so I'm gonna go for it. And he jumped the tracks.
No, I didn't do that.
No, okay, good.
And of course, there's like, it must be this weird spot because there's like train watchers with antennas out of their car, like sitting there, like filming the trains. So this train goes by, and as this other train goes by, hold on. And another train comes. So I had to wait for probably 3 or 4 trains to pass by each other at whatever spot this was. So I sat there for like another 15 minutes and missed
because
sunset.
it's like multiple tracks.
It was multiple tracks. And I think the footage turned out pretty good anyway. I'm pretty proud of the way that it turned out. But I had to rush. And I was like really, really rushing. And on the way down into Amboy from 29 Palms, there's this, it's very long downhill, curvy. And it was at that point that I knew that something was really, really wrong. And it was, I couldn't drive over 55 because it would just get weird right away. Something about like the way the car was getting pushed by the wind was getting weird right away. So, and dude, it would be on off throttle too. You'd, but only when turning. So you'd be turning left and it would be fine. But if you let off the throttle, the car would start to come around to the right and you'd get back on the throttle and it would start to go back to the other direction again.
Okay.
Dude, it was so weird. Like all the weird, odd. And of course you're doing it on purpose all the time too, because you're trying to experience it over and over again.
Right.
Your
You're
brain,
like, it's like picking at a scab or something that's like, well, I don't know, is it actually going to bleed? Or, it's not helping. You're not helping the situation.
And there's nothing more I can do because I have no tools. I've already like put a rock stacked up a bunch of. Have you ever stacked up rocks and then driven up on them as like a temporary jack stand?
Oh gosh, okay, yeah.
Like just
now
stones?
I get what you mean. Yeah,
yeah. So you stack the stones and then you drive up on it.
Usually, I find
so you can get under the car
or something more.
Yeah, no curb in the desert.
Yeah, I suppose not.
Jake,
logs,
this is
no logs either in the desert.
No logs, just rocks and sand.
Okay.
It is truly remote out in this area. It's true. Yes. You've been out there.
Yeah.
So I finally get to Amboy.
Okay.
And I start taking pictures of the sign. It's super windy. And I go inside and there's this nice woman, this nice girl. I can't remember her name, but she's very sweet. And I go, "Hey, I would love if you would turn the sign off for me so that I can film the sign coming on." And she's like, "You can." And I go, "What do you mean I can?"
Better.
I'm like, "I don't know that I feel comfortable with that. I don't know anybody yet. I don't know her. She's not the owner. She's an employee." And actually, I really wish I could switch.
What do you want to switch to? What are we switching?
I'm looking too far. I want to look here. There we go. That's much better.
Okay.
I felt uncomfortable because maybe it's because I was so stressed out and I was on edge.
Yeah, you were frazzled, right?
I was frazzled. This is a 10-hour drive of thinking I might not make it home. It was, in hindsight,
really dumb.
Jake, it gets dumber. So I'll just say that. This was already really dumb.
But wait, it gets worse.
But wait, there's more. So I talked to this girl. She's a little taller than me. She's pretty. And she walks me over to it used to be a cafe and it was a gas station. And then there was a motel. Right. And there's like 6 or 7 little units that were self-contained.
Yeah, little like cabin.
Next to it. Little concrete brick things.
Cabin things, yes.
Yep. But then they had this amazing mid-century modern office.
Yeah. The office / lobby is awesome.
Unbelievable. So she gets the keys out. She opens the door. She goes, it's right in there. And I go,
does she even know who you are?
Yeah, she knows.
Okay.
Well, the owner, we're having an event.
Yeah,
there.
No, I know.
So she knows.
I know, but I didn't know if you introduced yourself or you're just like, "Hey, can you turn the sign
no.
off?"
Hey, I'm Kris from Overcrest. Love your space, all the stuff. Okay. I'm very good with strangers. There's no problem making camaraderie. And she opens the door. She goes, "It's right there." And she points at the circuit breaker on the wall. She goes, "But I'm not going in there."
Why?
And of course,
wait.
My immediate reaction is, "Why? Why don't you want to go in there?" And she goes, "I don't know. I just don't want to." And I'm thinking, "But why? Why don't you want to go in there?" I'm like, "Did someone?" I looked at her in the face. I said, "Is it haunted?" She goes, "I don't know." And
that is the best answer to that question.
I don't know.
That's the best.
Did someone die in here? I said, "Did you turn it on once already today?" I said, "Yes." She says, "Yes." And I go, "Why won't you do it again?" And she goes, "I just don't want to go in there." And again, I go, "I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but why? Why don't you want to go in there?" And she's like, I just don't want to go in there. I go, "Okay, just tell me, did someone die recently in here? Is there some?" She's like, "Nobody died." And I go, and you're sure it's not haunted? She goes, no, I'm not sure.
Going to die is the more pertinent.
Yeah, is someone going to die? Is it me? Am I dead? Are you going to kill me in here? Are you going to stab me in the back? She goes, she points to the server. She goes, you go 2. She goes, you do this one and this one down, and then the same things up 2 and 4 and 5, blah, blah.
Okay.
Each part of the sign has its own breaker, which is really cool. That's what allowed me to turn it on like I did in the film. Like, that's not edited. That is
cool. Yeah.
Mr. Producer, you can pull up the clip. It's right here. Here it is. Yeah. Cool. On. And I'm like, thank you. That was awesome. And I come out, I'm alive. Okay. And my drone, by the way, is floating in the air filming this. Yep. Like, awesome. I can't wait to go look. So I go back to the car. I look at the footage. It was so windy that the drone moved.
Okay.
And it was wrong. I go, fuck. So I go back in there. I'm like, hey, me again. Can you help? So I had to go through the whole process again, except this time I just went in there and did it because I didn't die the first time. So I assume I'm not going to die the second time.
You didn't inquis her, go through that whole inquisition again. Okay.
No. I got it all figured out. By that time, it's just a little bit of orange in the distance. And there's this cool wisp of cloud, and it is stunning.
So much better.
I would have seen all of it, but I just wanted to be there for sunset. That was my goal. Sunset, people have this mistaken notion that right before sunset is golden hour, but it's really kind of like just the first few minutes after the sunsets.
Right.
You get this glow and this golden hour. So the footage turned out great. And now it's 6:30. It's pitch dark. I'm in the middle of the desert,
middle of nowhere,
with this girl alone, and I'm going, what do I do? I'm like, so I asked her, I'm like, where do I stay? What do I do? She's like,
because I don't have any plans.
It crossed my mind how awkward it sounded afterward. She probably thought I was trying to proposition her.
Yeah.
But I was just like, where do I go? What's the best place to stay? She's like, you got to go to Vegas.
How far is Vegas?
90 minutes. It's another 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Okay.
In the pitch dark, through totally unpopulated high desert.
Yeah,
there is nothing in between Amboy and Vegas.
I didn't realize we were that close to Vegas, actually.
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Vegas is about 4 hours, 3.5 hours from LA. Right. So it's kind of like halfway-ish, I guess.
I've seen The Hangover. Yeah, you can road trip it.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I go, I thought about sleeping in the car. I thought about it. I'm like, I should sleep in the car, wait till it's daylight. And then I looked at the forecast. It's going to be 45, 40 degrees. Gets really cold in the desert. And I'm like, I can't really do that. And for some reason, no matter what car it is, I don't feel comfortable running the heat in a car and going to sleep. I just don't want to die of carbon monoxide poisoning or something.
Yeah.
It's just especially on an old car, it doesn't seem like a good idea.
You're not familiar with this one.
No. You could die at any point.
And you don't have a blanket or anything with you.
Nothing. It's the most unprepared I've ever been. I'm usually a pretty prepared guy. That was the most unprepared I've ever been. Okay, so gosh, there's so much more to this story. I'm like,
why? Well, hold on.
It takes so long.
What was going on in the motel lobby and office, though? I still want to know.
Well, why she just goes to go to. Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Maybe she wouldn't tell me. I tried to pry it from her.
Okay.
Hey, if you come to the Road to Air Water, you can ask her.
Well, no. Let's bring our EMF ghost hunting kit that Overcrest Productions needs to invest in.
They're cheap. You can get a little detector. They're not
bring
expensive.
A ghost kit.
So I go, all right. I take a few photos, and I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out. Mr. Producer can throw the photos up that I took, or maybe he already did. I don't know.
So you're now in your mind driving
committed
across
to Vegas,
the desert, pitch black.
I'm committed. So first thing I did is hopped on the Wi-Fi at Roy's, and I go, okay, where do I want to stay in Vegas? What do I need to do? So the first thing I did is I find alignment shops that are open on Sunday morning. There are 2 of them, 2 shops that are open in the whole city. They're in North Vegas on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Drive in a not great area of Las Vegas. North Vegas apparently is not the place to be. Mm-hmm. That's the way it is. So I go, okay, I'm going to make this casino. in North Vegas. It's like, it's cheap. It's like $48 a night. I'm like, that's perfect. It'll be no problem. Of course, there was like $100 in fees on top of that when when you get to somewhere like that. But I was like, oh, it's cheap. My brain is super tired at this point.
Yep.
I've already been dealing with this situation, and it was a real boost for morale to get that filming done.
Yeah.
And have that behind me, and it worked, and it was good, and the photography was good. Except for my camera breaking that morning and no longer focusing. So I had to manual focus everything for the whole trip, which on something without a rangefinder is really difficult on just a regular Canon. It was super hard, especially at night when you're shooting at a low f-stop and there's a ton of depth of field and you're trying to focus. It was hard. So I'm just saying these photos are pretty cool considering how hard it was to shoot.
We need to appreciate them is what you're telling us.
That was hard. It sucked. It was really hard.
I am so talented you don't even know. Appreciate how
it just
talented
sucked.
I am.
It was.
Yes. No, I get it. I get it.
I would be laughing much more with you, Jake, but if I laugh, I'll start to cough.
Yes,
so if I'm smiling,
don't die. Yeah. I get it. You are jovial. We get it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very cheerful.
So it's now.
It's dark.
It might
it's
as well be
7
a.m. You know,
it might as well because there's nobody out here.
Yeah.
I will tell you, on the entire way, I stopped and took some pictures of in the middle of the desert at night.
Yeah.
And I did that for maybe a half an hour. I feel free at this point. I don't really have to be anywhere. You know, I feel free. So I stop in the middle of the desert, take some pictures of the car under the stars, and I'm driving really slow. You know, I'm slowed down. The issue's not as bad when you're going slow. I'm still scared because it's the middle of the desert. I saw no cars at all, just nothing. There's no one. And then I get on the freeway again, south of Las Vegas, and it was the worst it had ever been. I was like, oh my God, something is getting looser.
Right.
It's getting worse and worse and worse. Now it's going like this. And I'm in the lane, just like wobbling back and forth like bumper bowling in the lane. If I drive more than 60. So I just have to keep it under 60. I make it all the way to the hotel. I
didn't know that. You did.
I did. I made it all the way to. It's just there's not much to say after that. I made it all the way to the hotel. The problem was awful.
Yes.
I wake up. First of all, I put $20 on red and lost. I wake up the next morning. That's all I ever do. I usually put like $20 on, and I usually just keep putting it on there until I either lose or go, that's pretty good, and then walk away.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm way ahead on roulette, by the way.
Do you always go red?
Way. I always go red.
Okay.
First one, always red. Then I just guess. After that first one's always red.
Your probability doesn't change.
Of course not.
Okay.
I consider doing that just fun. I'm not thinking I'm going to win. Nothing. I'm not like a degenerate gambler or anything.
I'm just
like
saying
that.
if you go red all the time and that's your first go, you should just keep with red.
Sometimes I change. Sometimes I don't.
All right.
Because it doesn't matter.
Okay, sure.
It doesn't matter. The house always wins. There's always a green one on there to make sure that the house
just slightly less than 50-50.
The best I've ever done is turn like $20 into like $800. That was pretty dope. I did that in Vegas in over SEMA. That was awesome. And I remember when I took the money out, the guy's like, "Aren't you sure you don't want to go just one more time?" So I took $100. I'm like, so I took $100 out of that money and I put it on red 23, which would have netted me several $1,000s had it hit. Yeah. It didn't, of course. No. But it's just fun, you know, and then I bought everybody dinner.
That's cool.
This is just not real money. You know, anything above what you've already, it's like capital gains that you've had. Until you sell it, you don't even, none of that money really matters.
It's not realized. Yeah. Okay.
It's not realized. Okay.
So you wake up in Vegas.
I wake up in the morning and I go to this.
Is your car still there?
The car is still there.
Okay.
I'm at a casino, which generally has pretty good security.
And
they don't want anybody fucking around at the casino. It's like a truck driver casino. So there's all kinds of trucks parked around, like semis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Smoke heavy in the air. Lots of smoking. Take a drink of water here.
Do it. Ooh, you got water. Where did that come from?
This nice naked lady brought it to me a little earlier.
Nice.
I'm going to rewind and look at the reflection of my glasses. Wake up, car's still there. I go to this place. I'm not going to call it names of places because it's just not.
It's
not worth it.
Doesn't matter.
I go to this place. I'm early. They open at 8. I get there at 7:30. I sit in the car and I wait. And right at 8 o'clock, like on the nuts, this dude shows up in his car and he gets out and he looks like a raccoon that had been run over on the interstate. This dude can barely get out of his car.
Oh no.
Rough. Hair unkempt, already sweaty. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 58 degrees, and the dude is sweating, lumbering out to the front door of this place. He can't figure out which key to put in the lock. This dude is fucking wasted. Still.
Oh no.
There's no way. I mean, how many times has this guy opened this place? He doesn't even know what key it is. He can't. I go in there. I'm like, hey man, I got this problem. He's like, well, we can probably get you in, except my guy that does alignments is not here yet. Is he coming? Probably.
Yeah. Well,
well, if you made it,
I know,
and that guy didn't make it,
I don't think
you guys
I want
go out
him
together.
Anyways, yeah.
Is he dead? Because you're almost dead, dude. You are on life support.
He's back
anyway,
at Amboy in the
I wait
lobby.
for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I wait for 15 minutes, and I'm like, this guy's not showing up. I'm going to the other place.
Yeah.
Get in the car, go to the other place. Guy's super nice.
Good.
They fit me in.
Nice.
The dude that did the alignment, first of all, he's listening to like death metal while he's doing the alignment.
That's not a bad thing.
And I say, no. But I'm like, hey, do you mind if I take some pictures of you? Do it. You know, that kind of thing. Anyway, he fucks the alignment up bad.
Really?
I said, I said, can you make sure everything is tight? Make sure it's all tight. The dude fucks the alignment up royally. Now, Byron at Lightbow did the alignment originally, and it was cherry. The dude knows what he's doing. The alignment was good, but I don't know what the problem is, right?
Right.
So I'm just doing everything. I said, check if there is a bolt on it or a nut on it, and it is connected to anything that's connected to the wheels. Please check to see if it's tight. Also balance the tires.
Okay.
I get out, I go drive the car, same problem. I sat there for 4 hours while they fucked around with this thing, trying to get it.
No.
Like, he fucked the alignment up, got it so far away from where Byron had it, which was mint, and he couldn't get the caster and the camber figured out.
How do you screw it up that bad?
You tell me. I don't know. These cars are a little unconventional. It's an old car, but it still has a 5-link, and it's got a bunch of different adjustments, and the caster and the camber play off each other on these.
Right.
I don't know how other cars work. The guy couldn't do it. So then I'm thinking, then I'm at I ended up, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I go, okay, I have to figure this out on my own. Okay.
How?
I go to Harbor Freight.
Okay.
And I start buying tools.
Okay.
I buy a jack.
Okay.
And I go, I need to go through and make sure everything's tight, because Joey Death Metal didn't
no.
Just didn't.
He didn't find it.
It's clear that he didn't find it. Clearly. I'm standing in line. I've got in my cart, I've got a jack and the tools.
Yeah.
And I see this guy that I ran into earlier in the store.
Yeah.
And he goes, excuse me. I go, oh, hey, sorry, man. Excuse me. He's like, hey, no problem. Don't worry about it. Nice guy.
Okay.
I'm in line. I see this dude with an armful of shit just run out the door. Just gone. And I see him cross the parking lot and get onto the city bus, and the bus drives away. And I'm standing here with all this, and the lady at the checkout register just goes, she just listed off the items that she saw, wrote them down, and just talked to somebody on the phone a second, and then hung up. No description of the guy. No, he got on a bus. No, this guy just stole shit. They just wrote down the shrink and continued on. And I'm standing here with this cart full of $400 worth of stuff going,
I should just go.
I should just do this. Why am I paying for this? Why am I participating in the social construct that only certain amount of people have to participate in?
Because
why am I doing this?
Clearly it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And I'm looking at all this stuff, and of course I freaking paid for it because I'm a human being that lives in the social construct.
Yes.
And I look at the receipt, and I look at the lady and go, how much of this receipt and this amount is subsidizing what that guy just took?
Did she?
Because that's really what it came down to.
The question.
No, she didn't understand the question.
Okay. Yeah.
But the guy next to me laughed when I said it. Yes.
Because you're right. Yeah. Like, and it's called in the industry.
It was demoralizing.
Shrinkage.
Look,
and it is
I don't know what's
in.
going on with that guy's life. I don't know what's going on with that guy's life. I can tell you right now, if that guy had come up to me when I ran into him, and if he would have said, "Hey, man, would you buy me a couple of tools?"
Yeah, you would have said,
I really need some tools.
Yeah.
I would have been like, absolutely, no problem. I'll buy you the tools.
Yeah.
My guess is they're going on Craigslist.
Or
Facebook Marketplace.
Or no, not even that. He's just going over to the pawn shop across the street. Or across
That could
town.
very well be. That could very well be.
It's okay,
anyway,
but like it just goes to show, but it goes to show how little people even care or want to uphold this, because the bus driver sees him running across the parking lot with tools going like this, and he isn't like, "Hey dude, what are you doing?" He's just like, "Yeah,
no, it's not his problem.
I don't care." Right. Not his problem.
I also watched him. What are we supposed to do? We're going to tackle the guy? Is the bus driver going to tackle the guy and then the whole city of North Las Vegas gets sued by a guy?
It's frustrating, isn't it? It's so frustrating.
It's sad.
Yes.
I wasn't frustrated in the end. I was sad. I was sad.
Okay.
When people don't feel, I mean, crime has always existed. It is what it is. But what struck me was not him doing it. It was the response by the girl checking out.
And
that's what struck me.
Therefore, everyone else involved. But you know what is not theft, Chris, and does not make you sad? Petrol Box. Because Petrol Box is a monthly service made specifically for the automotive enthusiast. Each month they carefully select items, including tools. Yeah, those ones that the guy just stole. But those aren't the ones that you're getting in your box. Just
no. You're not getting a floor jack in your Petrol Box.
Probably not. I also was implying they weren't, stolen. They also include apparel, garage gear, stickers, publications, all to be sent right there to your doorstep. A curated selection of latest and greatest gear in the industry. There's 2 levels to choose from. Petrobox Basic costs less than $20 a month, while the Petrobox Premium gets you even more gear for $39.95 a month. Check them out at mypetrolbox.com. And of course, you can use the code Overcrest to get a discount on your first month.
Okay,
you have tools.
I am wheeling the tools out.
Okay, continue. I was going to say, do you leave the parking lot even?
No, I just go to the back of the parking lot, and it's getting hot. It's the afternoon. It's like 2 or 3 o'clock. 1 or 2 o'clock. It's hot, 85 degrees, asphalt, not happy. Jack the car up, start wiggling wheels. Can't tell anything's wrong. I go through and I tighten everything I can find. I tighten it all. One by one, every bolt that foreshadowing. Every bolt that I think I can tighten, I tighten. And of course, I've got like Harbor Freight tools. Like I'm not buying Icon tools and long wrenches and stuff like this, right? I'm just buying the drop forged, made in China from
cheapo,
recycled children or whatever it is they make these things out of.
It's Soylent and Green wrenches.
Yes, exactly. I get it all tightened up, put everything back, throw it in the trunk, start to drive. The problems still exist. So I pull over. I'm in a 7-Eleven parking lot. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm out of ideas. I have, I'm just out. So I start looking on, not totally out of ideas. I'm out of ideas of what I could do to fix it myself. So I start looking at Mercedes shops in Las Vegas. Look, where could I go? I start calling them. They're all closed. I start calling them anyway. This guy finally answers. Hello? I'm like, hey, the guy speaks no English. I'm trying to convey what this problem is to this guy. I'm assuming a lot of people in Las Vegas know Spanish.
Yeah.
Just because the nature of things. I don't. So I'm struggling to tell this guy what's going on. He can't do anything about it till tomorrow morning. He says, hey, basically comes down to, you're from out of town. I'll help you out before everybody else. He seems like an okay guy. I'll help you out in the morning. And I'm just thinking to myself, if my brain is weighing things, if it needs a part, can you get the part in Las Vegas? How many days will it take to get the part in Las Vegas? If I have the part and I'm in Southern California, how many days does it take to get the part? It takes hours to get the part if you're in SoCal, not days, not a day. So I call up Byron. I go, Byron, what do you think I should do? He's like, well, you can tow it back here. And I go, okay, I will let you know. So I chew on this for a little bit, trying to figure out, what am I going to do? It's a very hard decision. I truly did not know what to do.
It's because it's backtracking and it's defeat.
It is defeat. The backtracking sucked.
Yeah.
I hated it. I called up AAA. It's 3:00. I need a tow. Where are you going? Here. All right. It's this many miles. It's over your mileage of 200 miles. It's going to cost you $800.
Oof.
Fuck. Okay. Now I have another decision to make. Come get the car.
Oof.
Let's tow the car back to Orange County. Because I know if I bring it back there, I will resolve the problem. That's the thing. That's like my saving grace is I know if I take the car back to Byron and Khalil at Lake Bow, we can put it on the hoist. We will find out what the problem is. Yeah. I know those guys. They're my friends. They're professionals.
Yeah.
There's nobody I trust more to work on a car in California than those guys.
Sure.
I know there's a lot of great mechanics out there, but they're my friends and I love them. And I know that they will help me. So AAA says, we'll be there 7:30. And it's 3:00. I go, what? It doesn't take that long to get all the way from Vegas. It is what it is. Okay.
Oh.
So I sit there in a 7-Eleven parking lot.
No.
The clock. I ended up walking to Chili's to get dinner. I was very happy to find out there was a Chili's nearby.
Sure. Yeah.
Got Chili's myself.
You didn't even drive the car across the parking lot to Chili's.
Nope. I was done. I didn't care anymore. I didn't want to be in the car. I didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want to look at it. I hated it. I hated that car. And here's some pictures of it sitting in 7-Eleven parking lot that Mr. Producer can post up.
Sad
Mercedes. And it sucks because everything was new when you look at it. So your brain is just constantly. I called a couple of people. I explained everything.
Right.
What do you think this is? It got to the point where it's like, is it the differential? Because you would go on the gas, off the gas. Was there something wrong or loose in there where it was like overpowering one wheel? And it was driving the car funny. We just couldn't figure it out. Nobody I called was like, yes, it's this. Is it the subframe bushings? The bushings that, we didn't really check when we were looking at the car. Is it the subframe bushings?
Yeah.
7:30 rolls around. No tow truck driver. I call him up. I said, hey, where are you? He's like, dude, I offered to come pick you up and take you somewhere to hang out. There's a strip club next door. I could have dropped you off there and got you a free dinner.
What?
I said, you didn't tell me that earlier.
What?
He's like, I'll take you somewhere so you can chill out for a little while. You didn't tell me I was going to look at boobs for 4 hours. So instead of staring at boobs for 4 hours, I sat in the car for 4 hours. You should have been more explicit about the explicitness of my situation than I could have had.
Wait, why?
No!
Why did the tow truck guy tell you this?
Because earlier he had told me, hey, I can come. It's going to be a little while.
Yeah.
I can come pick you up and drop you off somewhere if you want.
Oh,
Then, after I've already been sitting for 4 hours, he said I could have been looking at boobs the whole time, which would have been a serious serious salve to my wounds.
Yes, that would have been a boost for morale, so to speak.
It would have. I mean, I think probably.
It also would have made your journey more expensive.
I don't know. He said it would have been a free steak dinner. I'm just a traveler down on his luck. I don't think those, maybe. Hey, maybe there's like some sadness there that could have earned me.
Oh, there's plenty of sadness there, Chris. There's plenty of sadness there. I can tell you that. You know how the tools accounted for the cost of the guy stealing them? The steak dinner is accounted for in the cost of the performance you're paying for. Okay.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes. I'm sure I would have lost some money. It would have been much more enjoyable. I'm not a frequent purveyor of strip clubs.
Uh-huh.
I do go to them every once in a while. I always go to one with my buddy Larson.
Oh boy.
We always pick one and we go and we hang out one evening and have fun. And
Okay.
Otherwise, that's like my once a year go to the strip club thing. So it's not like I love strip clubs and It just would have been much better than sitting in a 7-Eleven parking lot, watching the state of North Las Vegas change. Watching, like, if you would have watched a time lapse of it, it would have been hilarious as the sun goes down and all these donks start showing up and this weird culture shift and they all leave. And the bathroom at the 7-Eleven was quite poor.
Well, I imagine the time shift and culture change in the strip club from afternoon to evening also would have been
probably more interesting.
Yeah, very clear.
I probably could have seen a shift change amongst.
You could have, and anyway.
Anyway, so 7:30.
Okay.
He tells me this. I'm like, why didn't blow? I'm gonna be late. How late? I gotta get fuel. Okay, hang up. 8:30. Where are you? I just got fuel.
Out of the oil derelict? Like,
call the dispatch. Hey, this guy literally just told me that he got fuel. Just told me. Like, just got off the phone. I just got fuel. I'm on my way. Hang up. Half an hour goes by. I called dispatch instead. Hey, where's your guy? He's on his way to get fuel.
Dear Lord.
I was just like, come on, man. This dude shows up. I can't for the life of me remember his name. I asked him once when I met him. Hey, no. Nice try though. That's just,
yep.
He shows up, brand new tow truck. He's a bigger dude. He's got a hat on, red beard, moving pretty slow. Wasn't really interested in talking to me.
Okay.
I try to get like a feel. I always go, hey, how are you? How you doing? Never too loud. Because I could tell this guy was, plus he's already 2 hours late. So you got to keep in mind, what time did we get out of there? He had to load the car up. I think we got out of there around, by the time he showed up, I would say we got out of there about 10:30 or 11 o'clock from Vegas. So at that point, I'd been sitting there for 7 hours.
Oh.
In this parking lot at 7-Eleven. And during this 7 hours, I'd gotten a phone call from my aunt that Grandpa was not doing so good in the afternoon. How's he doing? Not good. What happened? I think he had a stroke and he can't walk anymore. He's bedridden. Okay. Do I need to come right now? Because I will get on a plane from Las Vegas and fly there right now. I'll just leave the car.
Shit. Who cares?
Fuck the car.
Yeah.
She's like, no, sure. Probably. Well, she goes, I don't know, but probably not. And we talked a little bit, and it was seeming like maybe there's like 3 weeks, because he still seemed like he was with it, but just couldn't move. 93 years old. You're bedridden at 93. It's over.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking to myself, what do I do? Oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? There's so many decisions that I'm trying to figure out. Fuck am I doing? What do I do? Do I take it back to Costa Mesa and then fly home from there? Do I what do I do? And I'm just paralyzed and just wrecked, and that was not good news, but kind of set the stage for the ride with the tow truck driver, which ended up being about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
With this man. And it's really interesting, the relationship that you have with someone in a confined space. It's a very unique situation. Very unique. Where you are in a confined space with a stranger for 5 or 6 hours, whatever it was, to know that you will never see them again. The amount of honesty and forthrightness that you can have with someone in that short period of time, I've never experienced anything like it. This man. I know everything about this man. I know the wrong things that he did. I know the right things that he did. I know his struggles. That he was in a coma. I know we talked about him being in a coma and what it was like to be in a coma and wake up. He said it was just like a dream. He's like, it didn't feel like I was in a coma. It just felt like I was in a dream. And then you wake up and it's 18 days later.
Wow.
And it's just like you were just asleep. And we talked about, life and family and what is he doing with his life and what does he want to do? And mostly talked about him. I was very curious. I was being me, asking lots of questions, and he would ask me advice and I would give him advice. And I've never had a relationship like that with somebody before. It was extremely intense and open in a very short period of time. It takes years for people to open up to someone like that. Years and years. If ever, do you ever open up with somebody like that?
Do you think that was a unique experience for him as well? Just knowing that it was, there's no repercussions. Like you said, there's no judgment that needs to be carried because you won't see them again.
Sort of. It was different because of who I am, I think. I don't think he'd ever had that experience before either.
Right.
But I'm not a normal person. I asked him about that. I'm like, do you have conversations like this with just anybody? And he's like, no, it's usually just people that are uninteresting and they don't really talk. They just sit on their phone the whole time. I didn't touch my phone the whole time.
Wow.
Legit. I looked at it like a couple, what time is it? Nobody's texting me. It's 3:00 in the morning Central Time where everybody I know is. Nobody's texting me.
Wow.
So it was interesting. I think it was just that I asked a lot of questions. And it started out really, really casual, and then it just got deeper and deeper. And pretty soon I'm learning about his ex-wives and his kids and these different things and the struggles that he's had and the perspectives, it gives you perspective in your own life, hearing about the stories of others. And I don't want anyone to be that open with me, to be honest, in most situations, especially a stranger, because I don't have the emotional capital to spend on the burden of someone else like that, because it's a lot. Like when you're sitting there listening to someone just like dump and I don't want, that's not the right word, emote about all of the things that's going on in their life. It was a lot. And I really felt for this guy. Like I really became attached to him.
Wow.
And I don't think I can't do that on a regular basis. It was too much. But
yeah, not a therapist.
No, it was just two guys just listening, talking in the.
That is
amazing. Dude's tow truck. I've never experienced anything like it. I've been in the tow truck a long time with people before, but this was very unique. And if you're listening, man, I wish you the best of luck. I know you told me all the things that you wanted to do, and I hope you do it. I hope some of that stuff clicks for you, and I hope you make it.
You said it was, of course, emotionally draining, but you were able to use that to reflect. My question to you
I was
is,
already emotionally drained. I know
you
empty, man.
And so my question to you is, do you feel like that was cathartic for you? Do you think that conversation was spurred on and happened for a reason?
Maybe. When you start, I'd already been in the car thinking that one of my hero and mentors was going to be gone very soon. Yeah, it probably did. I didn't really. Yeah, it probably did. It just puts you in a frame of mind.
Yeah.
To be more reflective and introspective.
Wow.
I remember like seeing the lights of LA coming up and just thinking to myself, the $800, sitting in the car for 7 hours, the fear, all the rushing around the other day was worth it for that ride in the tow truck with that guy.
Wow.
It was really special. It's really, truly special. I don't know I don't know that I would ever want to replicate it either.
Right.
Just,
like you said, it was heavy, in the words of Marty McFly.
It was heavy. It was heavy. So we got back in. I ended up at my hotel. I walked into the Holiday Inn just like dropped the car off at Lake Bow.
Yep.
I was nice to Mike. And I even like dropped the car off like way far away so nobody would hear anything or anything like that. Just drop the car far away. And so drove the car over there, parked it, got to my hotel, 4 a.m., died, woke up, and I just got up in 3 hours. 3 hours of sleep. Boom, I'm up.
Okay.
Got over there at 8. Byron was already there. He'd already done work that he needed to do that day. He had come in on the previous day so that he could work on my car. Stand up, dude. God, I cannot impress upon you guys enough how awesome Byron and Khalil both are.
Yeah.
Love these guys.
All right. I am chomping at the bit to find out what the hell this was that you
there.
Figure out.
Let's go.
We're
there.
Okay, it's up on the lift.
Throw the car up on the hoist.
How long did it take them to identify the issue?
Well, it was weird because we thought we'd checked everything else,
right?
And so we dropped the subframe, poke at the bushings, they're fine. We put the front spring pads back in to raise it up an inch because it was a little.
Do that anyways,
yeah, do that anyway. So we did that, and then Byron's like, he goes, Kris, got it. What do you think it was, Jake? We haven't had you guess on what the problem was, but what does Jake think the problem was?
Well,
first of all, I think, hold on, you think about it, and I'm going to tell you a micro story that ties in with this.
A micro story.
I surmise that they thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
A little bit. I surmise that they thought I was crazy. So Byron and I hopped in the car that morning.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And went for a drive. And when he turned to go around a corner and let off the gas and the car went all the way into the other lane next to us, he went, oh no, that is not good. And then we turned around and went back. So I was not crazy. Even I felt crazy.
Yeah.
I got in the car and I'm like, dude, if this thing doesn't fucking fall apart on this test drive, I'm going to feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I thought maybe just somehow I was nuts. You just have this in your mind of like, am I crazy? Yeah. Even though there's no way I was crazy. So the problem existed, got it back and threw it on the ice. What do you think it was?
I'm assuming like when you're giving it power, the rear wheel, it has to be rear and it's one side. The rear wheel is able to kind of, because you have torque, position it where it's supposed to be. But as soon as you let off and you have this negative torque in the drive line, it's shifting something that wouldn't otherwise. And so the fact that you're able to shift that leads me to believe it's some type of upper control arm in the rear.
We thought it was the subframe. Because if the subframe bushing was toast on one side, it would shift back and forth.
Right.
So that's the notion, is something is shifting back and forth on the right side of the car.
Yep.
He goes, Kris, I found out what it is. It was. Just kidding.
Okay, I was like, no, I got it.
You thought I froze. Yeah. It was the lower toe adjustment bar.
Okay.
The bolt that holds the toe adjustment bar was loose. So every time you would let off the gas, the wheel would cock in.
Yep.
And it would cock out. It was going back and forth and back and forth.
Why didn't you see that? Why didn't you find it?
I put wrenches on everything and I thought it was tight, but I had a small wrench. And it was under load. It was under load on the, like
you can't,
on the ground when I tightened those. And I didn't try to tighten those when it was jacked up. So
you also sometimes, did he have his persuader bar?
Yeah, he has much bigger tools than I.
But you try to move things and put load on.
I didn't have any way to like put a pry bar on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he put a pry bar on it and he went, look.
Yep.
Which I couldn't see.
Yeah.
And when I tried to tighten it, there's an Allen on the tie rod that I wasn't able to hold.
Yep.
And I was like, it feels tight.
Yep.
So that's what it was.
Because you were expecting something to be like wiggling loose. But it
was that bad, yes.
Okay.
So that was the issue. It was the lower. So whoever did the work on the car, previously some other mechanic just didn't tighten it.
So, and you didn't touch this to lower it?
No. Of course, I'm like, God, I'm such an idiot. I should have left this thing alone. This never would have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it would have happened no matter what.
And the fact that it started out fine-ish and then
it was
progressed meant that it
got
wasn't
loose.
Yeah, it wasn't noticeable at first. So
no.
Yeah, that's a lot. And then you drove home. After all that,
I drove home.
Wow.
And pretty much just thought about Grandpa the whole way.
Yeah.
Pretty much just thought about Grandpa the whole way.
And
I got home and I got a text message from my aunt, and it was a picture of Grandpa smiling, and the girls had sent him cards right away. I'm like, they got to write him something, write him a letter, whatever, just write something. And he had the cards and he was smiling. And I remember Irene going, "Oh, does that mean he's going to get better?" And I just I said, "I've always promised I will be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be honest with you. He's not getting better. This is as good as it gets." And I know you and I have had conversations like that about some elderly folks. And it doesn't get any better. This is as good as it gets. And there's a point where that was the case probably a couple years ago.
Right.
That this is as good as it gets, and it just gets slowly worse until
it doesn't
gets real bad.
Better.
So I'm home for a couple days because I'm like, okay, he's doing okay. I'll just go visit him, and I get some work done. I hop in the car. I drive down there. I stop at an antique store on the way down because I don't think it's that bad. And I get there, and he's in really rough shape. Really, it's like, oh my gosh, he's dying, like clearly dying.
Mm-hmm. So
I grab his hand, and I talked to him on the phone a couple of days earlier, and he said he wanted to see the car.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I brought the car. It's here. And he says, I said, it's not a diesel. I'm sorry. And he's like, oh, you still got to find me a diesel. And that was basically it, man. That was it. We joked around about that diesel thing a little bit. And now you're really stuck with me with diesels now, man.
Oh,
the parting words of my grandfather was about diesels. You're in trouble. And that was it. A few hours later, he was gone, and I was there, and I'm proud and happy to have been there for that.
Yeah,
for him.
I think you had set them or alluded it to me, and I do think it's true that some of our loved ones, they wait for us to be there, and it was clearly you were so important to him that he felt the need to hang on until you were able to say goodbye.
Yeah, they must have told him I was coming.
Yeah.
It was not very long. I made a post, and I'll read it. Sorry, ironically, something funny was on my screen when I pulled this up. People are like, where did the inspiration? Oh, holy shit! Hopefully, I can make it through this. I always ask about where the inspiration from Overcrest came from, which is really the only reason why I'm bringing this up to all of you, because otherwise I would just keep all this shit to myself. It's really, in most cases, this stuff would be none of anybody's business, but it's everybody's business because you all have this man to thank for all of this.
Yeah, unless it would have been our business otherwise if you were a tow truck driver in the middle of the desert.
Yes,
at 11
p.m. With Grandpa gone, I want to fill the emptiness with a story or two. It's all I know how to do. When I was a little kid, I'd lay in the back of my grandpa's old Ford Econoline van, seatbelt off, staring at an unlit dome light. I remember riding in that thing to church, where it somehow always took longer to get home from than to go to. Gosh, always. This thing had like these, it had the seat covers that were like all the little tiny stripes, the little tiny little striped seat covers that you would put on things. And they always had the yarn that was sticking out at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the seat covers I'm talking about, but it had these hideous seat covers. Grandpa always took the long way home. It was, at the time, as a little boy, insufferable. Even as a kid, I was acutely aware that the toys and the vast playground of outside were not in that van. They were at home. Grandpa, seemingly to me, and torturously so, was doing anything he could do to avoid pulling in the driveway. Why? I never knew where we were, but Grandpa, without a map, somehow always made it home. I would always be looking out the window of this van being like, where the fuck are we? What are we doing? Why aren't we going home? And it was everywhere we went. Always. We did a lot of road trips, and I'll continue on with this in a second, but it was even at a museum. We'd be at a museum, and this dude he had to read every single placard for every single thing and just suck this information in. And it drove me nuts. I was always ready to go on to the next exhibit.
Yeah.
Like, what's next? What's around the corner? I want to go see the dinosaurs, whatever. And now I'm the dad reading every single placard because I want all the knowledge. And I don't necessarily need to see what the next exhibit is around the corner because I'll get there.
It's a lesson also in being content. I think we've talked about this before. Like it's in road trips and everything else. It's being present with the journey itself.
In the Bay Area, 15 or so years later, I quit college. I'd accumulated stuff, so Grandpa and I decided to drive home together. He instructed me to find a car I thought would do well on the trip home and to pick it out and get it. So I kind of had this freedom to pick out a car, which was cool. It's like, what, we'll sell it when you get home, or you can buy it from me or whatever. in hindsight, I see what he was doing. He wanted to have a cool road trip with me.
Yeah.
You know, at the time I didn't really realize it, but he's like, pick out a car, man. God, if I just would have just realized how cool that was to just be able to pick out whatever car I want and then road trip with Grandpa. It's wild. I found a 1984 380 SE, which big body S-Class gasoline Mercedes. And the diesel was already at home. So I already had that in me. The 123 was there.
Okay.
And I'd driven that before I went to college. So I already liked Mercedes. And this was an era of time where you bought everything on Craigslist. There was nothing else. So I'd found this thing on Craigslist. Grandpa flew out and we loaded a roof box on the car and we set off. There's a bunch of this. Oh yeah. Okay. With a girlfriend and friends waiting, I could not wait to get home.
Yep.
There's no short way home, but there are ways to make it longer. And he definitely did. I complained, just like I did as a child, from being stuck in Yosemite with a broken axle. I've told you a little bit about that.
Yes.
Why did he have camping equipment? How did he know? How did he know to have a tent in the car and sleeping bags? How do you sabotage an axle?
I was gonna say there's something to be said about the fact that it was intentional.
I don't know. You think you would just unplug a fuel pump relay or something if that was the case?
That's not believable.
Dude he had, I was looking at his workbench when I was down there the other day after he passed away. And there's like a different toolbox for each car. A black one for this car, a green one for that one. The dude, there's so much of him in me.
Oh, I know it.
That I don't know if it's by osmosis or if it's like a genetic thing.
Predisposition to
over preparation.
Weird.
I looked in his desk and there's a book on survival and rigging and how to survive a biological attack and all this
and
shit.
You're like, oh no.
Jake, I have the same books. I have the exact same ones. I have the same books. Oh man. From being stuck in Yosemite with a broken axle to random detours to visit my great aunt 10 hours out of the way who wasn't even home. It took us 2 weeks to get back.
Wow.
It frustrated me at the time. Immensely so.
Yeah.
I would give anything to go on that road trip again. Anything. It's one of the most formative experiences of my life. One road trip of many, but that one I wish I could do. I would go anywhere. I would take any road. I'd take the longest possible way to get back just to spend a little more time. Even around the block. Grandpa instilled in me that taking the long way home was almost always the answer. It's not the most important lesson I learned from him, but it sure as hell got woven into who I am, and it is now ingrained in almost everything I do, and has become integral to who I am. And if anybody can find someone to take the long way home with, do it. It's not regret. I don't have regret for anything. It's just you wish, and this is what everybody deals with, right? You wish you could just have more. There's never enough. I think about my kids, and I could play with them all day. I could take them to the park, go bowling, see their favorite movie, go out for ice cream, have their favorite food, draw in the driveway chalk, and then redo them before bed, have their favorite book, give them ice cream as they're going to sleep, a spoon of ice cream into their mouth. And I would still go, gosh, I wish I could have spent more time with them. And that's always it. It's never enough time.
So fleeting.
So take the long way home. That's all I can say. That's it. I'm gonna miss him.
Thank you.
That's it. That's all I got. Let's go. What else can we talk about quick? Put me out of my misery here.
I didn't know if you wanted to leave it right there.
I mean, the rest of the trip back was pretty uneventful.
Yeah.
The car drove great. There's no problems. The cruise control didn't work, which frickin' sucks. The cruise control never works, and I can tell you this story to get me over the hump here. The cruise control never works in these cars.
Why?
Ever. The cruise control, I will tell you, shut the fuck up and pay attention.
The emotions are shifting.
The cruise control never works in these cars. And the climate control never works in these cars.
Okay.
It just doesn't work. The climate control in this car did work. AC, heat, all works. What the problem is you have these circuit boards that are freaking Mercedes, the bastards, use silver solder, not lead solder. Do you know why?
No.
I don't either, but it doesn't work. I don't know. I think it probably is a better conductor of electricity. I don't know.
Yes. It's well, as you know now, it's also more durable or resistant to heat.
Maybe. Yes. Yeah, it is definitely more resistant to heat, but maybe it's more brittle or something. Anyway, the cold solder joints crack on these boards, and there's like 150 solder points on this circuit board. I wish I had one to show you, but it's over there. I'm too lazy. So I went through when I got home, and I turned on my soldering iron, which goes to 450 degrees, and I try to solder these things. You just warm them up and you let it go.
Yeah.
Right? You just warm up the soldering iron.
You're just trying to reconnect the,
Yep, that didn't work. So I had to get out the big boy, 850 degrees, crank it all the way up in order to do the silver solder. I don't know what the melting point of silver solder is, but it's somewhere 850 degrees or higher.
Wow.
And I went through and I did every single one. It took me probably an hour to sit there and go, neat.
Yep.
Neat. And you have to be careful. You don't want to
You don't want to, melt it over to the next one.
You also don't want to drag the soldering iron across the board.
Yep.
And fuck the little, I used to think it looked like racetracks.
Yeah.
No. You know, he's like, you think of Tron, right? And all the light bikes going around. Put it back in the car. Cruise control works. I'm super proud of myself.
Awesome.
So now, other than a slight drive shaft vibration, which, by the way, I am taking into a shop to have repaired.
Which is
how proud.
Slightly an inside joke.
It's off-brand.
Yes.
It's off-brand for me.
But it's something we've been talking with a lot because, as I have told people, having the skills to do things is such a blessing, but it's also at times a curse. Because my default is always, I'm going to do it myself. And you've said it many times before. You can do it and redo it if you did it wrong. And
3 times.
Still,
Grandpa said 3 times. And then you learn something.
Before having to pay someone and you still be ahead. So, of course, with any of these projects, you and I and many others, always just assume, or the default is that we're going to do it ourselves. Why wouldn't you? You can do it. Why wouldn't you do it yourself? Well, it's because you cannot do everything, Kris. And as we just established, time is so fleeting that it is kind of hard to realize that, you gotta, some things you
gotta
just
pick and choose.
Have to.
So I just don't want to, the exhaust is in the way.
Yeah.
And I don't have a hoist, so I'm just going to take, it's probably a center support bearing. So I'll take it to someone else to do that grunt work. I just don't want to do it. I think if it's not fun, well, I'm not going to do it.
And as my dad said, because I just did the same thing with our rusty old plow truck. I dropped it off at the local mechanic, and I told my dad the same thing. I was like, yeah, it's hard. I assumed I was going to do it. It had a brake line that rusted through. And I was like, I think I might even have some of the right tubing in the garage. And then I look at, okay, this rusted because it is just so rusty. There's no way those fittings are coming off. And I don't really feel like doing with that. And it took me a while to even think like, oh, I could just pay someone to do this. And what I was going to say is my dad told me, he goes, yeah, it's not like you're learning anything from that job, right? You know how to do it. You're not going to get satisfaction from that one. It's not something new. It's not an accomplishment. So
what's funny is my grandpa never paid anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Like he put a roof on they had a flat roofed house.
Yes.
And it couldn't be repaired. So he engineered a way to by himself with the help of my dad and I think maybe a couple other guys, but he designed it by himself. Roof trusses and a come along pulley system to pull the trusses onto the roof, set them up, level them, and install everything. In a summer, he did it. What the hell, dude? What the hell? Like, it's just, there's something to it for sure. I have a mix of, I don't have that much of it in me. I'm not doing roof trusses by myself.
Well, it's,
all right.
Yeah, it's a balance,
I'm gonna call it here. And I'm going to leave everybody with what my I talked to my grandpa a few years ago and I interviewed him. And if you're interested in hearing about his life, hit me up. I'll send you the link. I did a on-camera interview with him. It's super interesting. He grew up in the Dust Bowl in Kansas as a farmer that, with no electricity. It's interesting. But I asked him, I said, what was your biggest regret? That's always the thing you wonder, like, what's your biggest regret? And he just wished he would have taken more risk. He says, I wish I would have taken more risk in my job and in my life. I wish I would have taken more risk. He kept his head down too much at work, I think. He was an engineer and he was good at it. And I think he just kind of kept his head down. And he wish he would have taken more risk. And I've took that to heart when he told that to me 5 or 6 years ago, which is one of the reasons why I'm sticking and doing all the things that I'm doing now.
It's why all of this is here.
It's why it's all here. Take more risk. And that was right around the time that I was like, hey, Jake, you want to do a podcast?
Yep. That was.
So
I remember that.
Take more risk. Everybody should take more risk. There's no point in living entirely safely. If you lose all your money in like Buttcoin or something, don't blame me. That's not the kind of risk I'm talking about. Just be smart, but take more risk. You only get one shot. On that note, we will see you guys next week.